Hey guys, good to see you. Wow, looks like we have a pretty good crowd in there. Woohoo. All right. Abnormal investigations, you're first. Lavon, good to see you. Hey Gary. Gary, you do such an outstanding job. I appreciate what you do. I really do. David, good to see you. Let's see who all's in here. Jean Hudson, good to see you. See who else we have in here. There's Jess. All right, I just want to make sure I don't miss anyone because I just want to let you know I do appreciate each and every single one of you. Roger, howdy. Sharon. All right. Okay, it looks like I'm all caught up. All right, I just want to go over a little bit of the news and updates and so on, things going on. Um, let's see. Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project, that's my organization. And we are on Facebook. And, so look us up. If you're not a member already, please join us. And we are having a camp out April 24th through the 27th at Micho State Forest. Any other details are available on the group, so you have to be a member of the group to get any other details as to the location of the campout, which campsite. So join the group and please join. Please join us on the campout. Just be aware you will need to follow all state park rules and regulations because I'm fairly strict about that. Any misbehaving, I kick everyone out. I have no problems doing that. Hey, Walter, good to see you. All right, now, special request from a friend of mine. I have border collies. I've had border collies in the past, and I rescued. I got them from a border collie rescue. The Indian Summers Border Collie Rescue that is located in Minerva, Ohio. She recently received an emergency request for a rescue of 20 border collies. 20. So it's fairly urgent. If you have any love in your heart for border collies, and a border collie owner is a special person because border collies are a special breed. That's about all I can tell you. Hey, Patrick, good to see you. They are extremely intelligent. You have to have, I know one of her roles at the Border Collie Rescue is you have to have a fenced in yard. And they are a high energy. Okay, Patrick, they are. They're awesome. I love them. They're very intelligent. You have to keep them active, not only physically, but mentally. Otherwise, they get very nervous and agitated and so on, abnormal. So you can look that up. She's on Facebook, Indian Summers. That's SUMMERS, Border Collie Rescue. That's in Minerva, Ohio. And they're great for sheep herding, or they will herd whatever is around to be herded. They will herd children. They will herd you. They herd, or Sinead, the dog I have now, she herds myself and my husband. So they'll try to herd birds whatever's around, they'll herd. Um, she's also on adoptapet.com. So if you have it in your heart, um, check her out and look them up. See if you can adopt a border collie. She has an email to request an adoption form, and she'll go over everything, because it has to be a fit. And she's very, very particular about matching up people with her border collies. Very particular, because that's you and your border collie, you and your dog are around for the rest of your lives. So you got to match up. Let me think. I don't have her email address written down, doggone it. But it is on her Facebook page, Indian Summers Border Collie Rescue, and also adoptapet.com. So please consider adopting a border collie. And really, it's about the only news as far as I can remember. And so we can probably, hey, Patty, good to see you. Yeah, Lavon, yes, the Australian Shepherds. They're just like the border collies. They're extremely intelligent. They are a herding dog, and they need a lot of attention, both physical and mental attention and activity. I thank you, Walter. I appreciate it. Yeah, ask around. Yeah, she got 20, an emergency rescue of 20 border collies, and she already has, I think, 15 on site that she had already. So check around and see what you can do. I appreciate it, guys. All right. So tonight we have a special guest. She has been a member of our audience for quite a while now. Her name is Jess, and she is from Arcane Paranormal World. And I was reading her about section on YouTube, and the section that really struck me about her organization, it says there is arcane deep within the fabrics of the universe, and the public is kept in the dark by the dark powers that be. Let's work together as a collective to find these connections and ultimately the truth. Always remember, we are greater in numbers than those who spread disinformation and suppress the truth. So, I want to introduce you to Jessica. Hi, Jessica.
Hello, Mary. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then let's get into some stories after.
So a little bit about myself. I actually grew up having more of the paranormal things going on in my life, and had a mother that was pretty well open and accepting, and didn't kind of shun me away from that. Um, but then as I grew older and started researching it a little bit more and more, um, I kind of fell away after I had my daughter. Life took over. And as she got older, I decided to kind of get back into it because I always enjoyed the paranormal and investigating. And some of the channels and shows that would be on TV would always capture my attention.
Yeah.
And that's when and I never really was a Bigfoot believer, didn't even understand or think Dogman was real, um, but I had had an experience with aliens, or not aliens, but a UFO, when I was younger as well. And through doing more research and stumbling across like David Paulides and a couple other YouTubers and stuff, realized wow, there's a lot more than just the paranormal, and there is a huge connection. I started to see a huge connection between paranormal and cryptid and aliens, and that's pretty much where I ended up deciding to kind of delve further into it, and here I am.
Great, great. Now, what do you primarily focus on?
So right now, primarily, it's it's really difficult to focus now with having my own having a channel and co-hosting and working full time.
Yeah.
Um, so right now when I go out and I do my live investigations, I'm usually looking for the cryptids because I investigate in an area that has been known to have cryptid activity. Um, I I've haven't really experienced a whole lot of anything significant that I could say is definitely one way or another.
Mhm.
But still having fun doing it. The paranormal spiritual side, I should say, I've kind of gotten away from a little bit more. And I don't know, I still have an interest in it and I want to learn more about it. But my biggest research and investigating wise is more the links between everything and why are we being held back from the knowledge.
Mhm.
So that's kind of where I've been.
That's interesting. Now, where are you located?
I'm actually in Wisconsin. I've done investigating in Upper Michigan and the Lower Peninsula. I would like to do some more investigating and research outside of the state as well, but primarily right now it's in Wisconsin because it's local and it's winter and it's cold.
Yes.
But I'll actually be doing an investigation hopefully in February. I go down to visit my parents in Florida, and so I'll be going down there and was told that my dad's just going to have to go with me because, I'll need to have some protection when I go out there. I can't just go out in, the Everglades all by myself. So,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the hogs and everything else.
mhm. Yeah, so that'll
Just
be interesting.
yeah, just that alone. Yeah. Yeah, one of my team members, my team lead, as a matter of fact, he lives in Florida, moved from Pennsylvania regretfully down to Florida. He lives in Palm Bay, and he has a very active area just outside of where he lives, and he sends me photos. As a matter of fact, he also calls me while he's on out hiking because he says that he's getting hit with infrasound or getting paced, and so he'll makes him feel better to have another human on the phone talking
Yeah,
to him, as he's hiking back out. And yeah, there's been some, he's shown me quite a few photos of some very large Bigfoot tracks, very large. And it's pretty impressive down there. If it wasn't for the weather and the bugs and the gators and the snakes and hogs and so on, I wouldn't mind going there. But no, I'm not into the heat and everything else.
sounds like me when my parents say, well, you could come down and live in Florida. I'll visit. That's fine. I can handle a week to 2 weeks, and then I need to get out.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see here. Yeah, abnormal investigations has a good point. Going solo is not a good idea. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I do it too, abnormal, but we shouldn't. Yeah, I know. Sometimes you just have no choice. Um, you have to balance how far you go in and how far you push it as to where the danger point is, and just keep yourself safe as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, and ever since I was young, I've always felt just at home in nature.
Yeah.
There would be times, I mean, we would go camping all the time growing up, and there would be times where I'd grab my little lawn chair and I'd drag it into the woods a little ways down the trail and I'd set it up and I would just sit there and my parents would be cooking dinner or getting the fires ready and I would just be sitting there in the woods just at home, and it didn't matter if it was day or night or I loved it.
Yep.
And couldn't get my daughter to do that nowadays. She hates bugs, but
Oh, that's right. You have the black flies and everything up there and so on, don't you?
yeah,
Yeah.
they get pretty vicious in the summer.
Yeah. I used to uh, not really live up in Canada, but I stayed up there for quite a long time. And yeah, the black flies are horrible, absolutely horrible.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, they are.
But but yeah, yeah. Tell us about your research and what you've done, and just a little bit about what's going on.
So, recently I've been doing more, so every Friday night I've been going out and doing an active investigation. And I'll tell you, I go along the Ice Age Trail. So anybody that's not familiar with the Ice Age Trail, it actually spans pretty much right up the middle of the state of Wisconsin. And it was created and formed during the Ice Age when the glacier sheets came through and pushed everything down and started to melt. And so there's this huge ridge of rock and debris and stuff that the glaciers had all pushed in. And it's a huge nature preserve. And so a lot of people in the area, they'll actually hike up and down that trail. And
Mhm,
the way they have it set up is you can actually backpack in and you can camp and, take weeks to hike up and down this trail, and it's beautiful, beautiful nature trail. Um, some of the areas have little waterfalls and, I mean, cliff areas and rocky ledges, and the foliage is just beautiful. You can usually get a lot of wildlife, but there have been more and more recent accounts of backpackers who are going in and hiking in, setting up camp for the night to continue the next day, and they've been having issues with things messing with their tents or their camp gear,
mhm,
making strange noises, and so that's kind of where I've been doing a lot of the investigations. So I've done anywhere from the lower half to the upper middle portion of the Ice Age Trail of Wisconsin. Um, And I've also done I actually did a recent investigation over on Bray Road as well, and I met with the property owner over there,
great.
and it's actually quite close to the location of the Ice Age Trail. So I think that there is a connection between land and all of the other activity too that's happening in that area, especially with like Bray Road and the areas there. So
Wow. Yeah. So the Beast of Bray Road. I know this Small Town Monsters did one of their documentaries
mm.
on Beast of Bray Road. So that's fascinating.
Yeah, well, and a lot of things that people don't realize is that it's not just the Beast of Ray Road. The property owner out there has had strange orbs, UFOs, other strange creatures that he hasn't been able to quite classify, I guess, and lots of other strange goings on. He's had loss of time.
Mhm,
So, a lot of the same stuff that many other people have experienced with other cryptids or other paranormal or alien type activity
mhm.
is also happening there on that property as well.
Very cool. Now, and have you had a chance to investigate on there at all, or
Over on Bray Road?
yeah?
Yeah, I did. Well, I did a kind of a like a intro investigation. So he did take me through the property. We did have some hits on some things that had gone on. Um,
Mhm.
and of course, the with the EMF reader, we got hits on the EMF reader, and he was explaining some of the other stuff that had happened um, in prior investigations. But I'm hoping to come the spring to try and get back out there and do a couple more investigations. Um, I know he doesn't come up a whole lot in the winter because he uses this property up here mainly as for hay for the farm that he has in Illinois. So, but I would definitely, he's gotten quite a few like prints and tracks and different things too in the snow in the winter when he has been up here.
Mhm.
So I would love to be able to see if he'd let me go out there in the winter, but I figured I'll wait until the summer and see if I can coax him into letting me even maybe staying out there. I don't know. We'll see.
Wow, that would be fun.
Hmm.
That really would be. Wow. Uh, Now the Ice Age Trail, you find tracks along there also.
I haven't found any actual tracks, but I've gotten quite a few images or quite a few tree structures and different strange tree breaks and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, I've had, there was one night that I was out in one of the upper areas that strange pressure. Um, I don't even know how, I got a really bad pain in my head and
Yeah.
uh, it was, but again, I didn't hear or see anything. What could it have been? And I didn't have any type of meters on and EMF readers or anything like that on me, so I couldn't say for sure. But
Yeah.
um, definitely was not a good feeling that I had at that point. But I was on my way out, so maybe it was kind of saying whatever was there, yeah, get out and don't come back. Hey, Jenny.
Hi, Ginny. Welcome. Now, has Ginny gone out with you also?
No, I tease. I say me and her we'd probably be a bad investigation couple because we'd go out there and the cryptids or aliens or spirits or whatever would just be like, "Oh Lord, not them!" Run and hide. We'd be giggling and laughing too much.
Well, tell you what, they are drawn to females, and you may get the best activity. In fact, hopefully, not too much activity, or but you'd probably get more activity by having another female along with you,
Yeah.
just by laughing and enjoying yourselves and so on, and so, acting natural. You'd
Hmm.
be loud, that's fine. Hey, they know you're there anyway, Jenny. They know that you're out there anyway, so it doesn't matter. I know that whenever we go out, I've been out with people from the BFRO a few times, and they always say, oh, you have to be quiet. You have to hide your flashlights, and just use your red light sparingly. And I say, why? They know we're here.
Right.
Why bother?
Right.
I have totally different investigation ways of doing things rather than the BFRO. But everybody has their own different things that they do. And as long as it works, hey, all's good. And
Right.
yeah, Levon, act natural and have fun. Absolutely. Yep, I agree. Uh, so yeah, if you and Jenny go out, you follow up with an update with us. Let us
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Definitely.
I'd be curious. So, how far do you hike? You said usually whenever you get out there.
It depends on the weather. Um,
Yeah.
if there's snow, I might not make it up to very far up a hill before I fall on my face. But I usually try and get in about a mile or so,
Yeah.
and then usually depending on my battery life, although I was very happy. My brother, I laugh. I says, "Oh, my brother actually does love his sister. He got me a phone bank charger for Christmas this year." So
Good.
he's like, "There, now you can actually go out and do your investigations and not have to run back to the vehicle before your phone dies."
Yep, that's
So,
right.
so yeah, maybe I'll actually be able to get some longer investigations coming up here. So
Good. Good. That sounds great. Now,
yeah.
you mentioned that you had gone out and you felt pressure or pain in your head. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm just curious if you would have had your EMF detector along with you, what it would have shown. You know,
Yeah.
because they will show up on EMF detectors sometimes, not all the time. But yeah, I've never used one, but that's what I'm told. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm just curious, what are your results using a EMF detector?
I just was able to get one, so that's kind of because at the time when I first started going out, I had just been let go from my job and then started up another job.
Hmm,
So I've only been at this job for a little bit, so I've been slowly trying to build back up my
yes.
income so I can kind of start buying more toys and gadgets and such. So,
God bless
but
you.
yeah, I'm getting there. So yes, I have my EMF reader, I have my thermal camera, which I often forget that I even have. And Ginny's usually in the chats going, "Jesse, pull out your thermal." Like, oh yeah. So I forget that I even have the toys on me half the time.
Yeah, you get in the moment,
Hmm.
and you're so excited as to what you're seeing, what's going on, and I know I like I tell everyone I've quit carrying all that stuff around with me. It's it's too heavy for one thing,
Yeah.
and too cumbersome, and uh, I usually just have my phone, and that's about it.
Hmm. Yeah. So, but I've pretty much been. I mean, that's what I've done locally by myself.
Mhm.
I went to the Michigan conference, the Upper Michigan conference
Yeah.
in May last year, which was kind of fun because my mom actually came with me.
Oh, cool.
And we did the Bigfoot hike.
Hmm.
Um, and what was kind of interesting about it was we kind of split up into two groups and we get up. So we were part of the first group and we go in and we were waiting for the second group to come around and they were going all through the property and kind of the other guide was kind of showing them where they've had investigation hotspots and things that have happened and occurred.
Hmm.
And at one point, they had actually passed us by to loop around, and we heard them starting to like whoop. And we kind of looked at the individual that was with us, and he goes, "Yeah, I won't do that." He's like, "I'm not gonna whoop. I'm not gonna, we're just gonna sit here and chill out, and they know we're here. So if something's gonna happen, something's gonna happen."
Hmm.
And they came back around afterwards to switch groups so that we could actually do and walk the property. And the guy come back and goes, "Wow, how in the world did you get those coyotes to go off like that?" We're going, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Well, yeah, you got everybody to start whooping at the same time." We're like, "That wasn't us." He goes, "Well, that wasn't us. We were way on the other side." And I looked at my mother and I'm like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me." And what made it even worse was about 15 minutes prior to this,
Hmm.
because I had been taking photos with my camera because I can get pretty good night vision photos. And excuse me one second. Um, so I can get pretty good night vision photos with my camera. And I had actually come around the one side where everybody was sitting by the torches. They were all kind of sitting around the fire and telling about the experiences and stuff. And I was walking around the camp and taking photos. And for some reason, I was like, "Oh, there's nothing over here." And so I just turned around and walked away. And I'm going, why? Why didn't I just take the photos? Why didn't I just take the pictures? I could have gotten something. There was obviously something right there.
Yeah.
So I always try to go, man, I gotta just push through this and take the photos. Even if something in my head tells me that there's nothing there, just push through and do it.
Well, you never know. It may have been one of them saying, giving you the, but I don't know. I don't know about mind speak. I've never experienced it, but they may be able to get us to go the way that they want us to go and give you the message that don't take photos, don't take
Mhm.
photos. Nothing to see here.
Yeah, like the force. There's nothing to see here.
Yes.
Yes,
These are
but
not the droids you're looking for.
exactly.
Yeah,
But
it's fun. Yeah, always, no matter what, take photos.
yeah, and I don't know, and I was taking photos and videos, and it was
Yeah.
just, as I got around there, and for some reason I was like, "Oh, there's nothing over here." Turn around and walk.
Uh-huh.
And I've had situations with mind speak before, so I know that it definitely this was definitely not mind speak because it was just almost like this inner dialogue that I was having with myself, like my,
Hmm.
you know, guardian angel or whatever. That's almost
Hmm.
what it felt like was just somebody, oh, my inner voice. There's nothing over here. Okay. Yeah.
No, you said that you experienced mind speak. Can what happened? What was going on?
Well, the mind speak was actually that wasn't even cryptid related. So that's kind of part of the whole why I feel that there is so much of a connection.
Yeah.
Um, but when my daughter was probably about a year, we were living in an apartment and we had lots of paranormal activity, spiritual
Hmm.
paranormal activity going on in the home. And everything from there was like a shadow dog that would be seen in the basement and upstairs and downstairs. Um, I would have issues with the back door opening and closing, where I would think that her father was actually coming home from work, and I would hear the door open, and I would hear boots on the ground in the kitchen, and the doors closing. And we had a blue healer who was such a big baby, but he was my little protector, and he would sit on on the edge of the bed, or he would sit in the doorway and his heckles would go up and he'd kind of growl, and you could hear the boots turn around and walk out, and he'd kind of calm back down and he'd crawl back into bed, and okay, it's all good. But um, well, one of the particular times that I actually had the mind speak happen was excuse me, um, it was right towards the end of our relationship that me and her father had, but uh, I was just about to go to bed for the night, and I had just crawled into bed, and my dog had crawled up next to me and kind of curled in. And as I'm laying there, I heard in my own head, and it was two separate voices. Actually, it was quite, and I wasn't scared either. It was just looking back, it's kind of sounds odd, but um, the first voice was that said, "Yeah, he's unfaithful." And the second voice said, "Yes, unfaithful, yes." And I said, "Who?" And I said his name, and they said, "Yes, unfaithful. Yes, unfaithful."
Oh my goodness. Wow.
I'm like, okay. And yeah, soon found out afterwards that he was having an affair.
Mm.
But it was clearly two separate voices. So I mean, and the dog didn't react, so I know it wasn't something that was outside that he could even have heard. So
Yeah. Wow. And the dog reacted, and
the
then
the dog usually would react to other things that were going on in the apartment. things would move and get shifted around, and yeah. But this particular night, no, the dog never reacted.
Wow. Interesting.
But
That's
yeah, it was.
hmm.
And I would almost brush it off as, oh, maybe that was my imagination. But the fact that um, the following events that had unfolded afterwards, it was kind of, yeah, I couldn't argue. Whoever's voice that was, that mind speak, whoever I heard, yeah, they were being truthful,
Wow.
and
Did
I hadn't heard him before. I hadn't heard him since. So
you oh, okay. Are you living in the same apartment yet or,
no,
no?
mm-mm,
Okay.
no. This was yeah, many many moons ago. No, the
Okay.
house the house that I live in now, actually, we did have a spirit living here, and he has also since left. But I believe that when we moved in, the house that I live in now, I bought from the children. The father had passed away,
Mm,
and the mother was being put into a hospice.
oh,
And so the house had been on the market for almost a year, and so I got a really good deal on my home.
nice.
But when I moved in, there were things that the first thing that had happened for me here was, before we actually moved from the apartment into the house. I
Mhm.
was repainting the basement because they did the basement in this um, really dark brick all around, and there was no windows in the basement. So you go down in the basement, and it's just this dark brick all over the walls, and it was just no light, and it
Wow.
sucked in all of the lamps. So I decided to like paint.
Yes.
So I'm downstairs and I'm painting. I'm painting over the brick because I couldn't get it off. They cemented the brick right to the cement brick basement walls. Such a mess. But I'm painting the walls, and I'm about halfway done, and what I thought was my boyfriend coming down the stairs, and I heard him get to the bottom of the stairs,
Mhm.
and I hear, "Oh." I'm like, "What? You don't like the color? Like, I'm almost done. What? You don't like the color?" And I turned around and there was nobody there. And I'm going, "Okay, I don't care. Mess with me, do what you want, but I'm warning you now. You mess with my kid," because my daughter was probably only about 7 at the time when we moved in.
Oh,
So I was like, "Yeah, you mess with my kid, and no holds bar. You're out. I'll
yeah.
get you out of here one way or another." So, but was pretty passive for the many years, and I think he actually, and I say he because he did have like the heavy boot steps I could hear in the kitchen. We would
Okay.
have lights flickering on and off,
Yeah.
and there was a few times that she said that she would wake up in the middle of the night and she thought was my boyfriend at the time, but it wasn't. He
Mm,
wasn't. He was either working late or wasn't here at the night that night, and she would say, he's standing in the doorway staring at me.
ooh.
Like, honey, he wasn't here last night. I don't know what you're talking about. And so she was adamant there was somebody standing at the doorway, and said, I've warned you,
Yeah.
don't mess with my kid. But I guess
Mm,
he never actually came in, so maybe that was his idea of not messing with my daughter by just standing in the doorway and not going anywhere near. I don't know, but he has since gone.
good.
Um,
That's
I
good.
think I think he ended up leaving. I found out his wife then passed too, so maybe he was just waiting for her. I don't know.
Maybe so they could be together.
Mm,
And
yeah.
he didn't like the white paint on the bricks.
No, didn't like the white paint on the bricks. Oh
So
well.
yep, oh, well. I bet it brightened it up down there.
Yeah, it looks a whole lot nicer down there now
Yeah,
too. So,
good. Yeah, so, yeah, yeah, just tell us more, what other things, have you seen or experienced? And
well, I know, So one of the other things that I've experienced with like the UFOs, I could tell you, and I was talking to my mother the other day because I was trying to pin down when it actually happened or what year, and I
Mhm.
believe it was after 9/11, um, or maybe it was no, it was the summer of 9/11. So before it was that summer,
Mhm.
and I was driving downtown, um, in the town that I live. I was actually the D&D for my two buddies for that night because, of course, living in Wisconsin in the winter, summer, and whatever, there's only a few things to do here. And for the younger crowd, it's bar hopping. So um, at the time, I was the designated driver and I was I was dropping my friend off downtown, and he had gotten out of the car and I was waiting for him to cross the street to get into his apartment building. And as I'm looking up, I hear it's, and this is the weirdest thing is trying to explain this. Um, I didn't hear like an engine. It was almost like that pressure that you get in your ears when you can feel or hear something coming through. You know how if somebody walks into a room really quietly, you
Yeah.
can still sense them walking into a room,
Right.
even though you might not necessarily hear them. And it's kind of almost that same thing. Like I could hear or sense the pressure of something large in the
Mhm.
sky. And I start to see out of the corner of my eye this object coming across the sky. And my first initial reaction was, oh my gosh, there's a plane. And it must have lost engines because I don't hear any engines. And I'm like, wow, that is a huge plane that lost engine. And
Hmm.
it's coming straight down. And the angle, because I live right off the lake. So I'm like, the angle that this plane is coming in at, it's going to crash into the lake. I mean, the trajectory was, there was no denying it unless it was going to pull up. And that's when I realized that's not a plane. That is huge. And it actually covered the sky to the point where um, I couldn't see the back end or front end at one point. I could see the front end, but not the back end, and then neither, and then just the back end. I mean, it was huge. And as it came down, heading towards the lake, I'm yelling at my buddies. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, do you guys see that?" And of course, me being the sober one, and they're both drunk. I should have known better. They're like, "What? See what?" Like, you guys. So my one buddy ended up going up to his apartment, and I said, "Okay, you're coming down with me. We're driving down by the lake, and we got to go check this out." So I drove down, and I could see off the shore there was something off in the distance, but I couldn't really get it the angles. So I couldn't really get a good visual of it. So I ended up driving up to the lighthouse here in town, and pulled up right by the lighthouse. And right off the corner of where the lighthouse was and where we were parked, you could see off in the distance a large, like, disc shape. It sounds so cliche, but the large disc shape sitting on the lake. And along the edge line, I could actually see the glow of the lights um, floating around it. But the thing was actually sitting on top of the water. It sat there for quite some time,
Hmm.
and I was pretty adamant about staying there, and I really wanted to, sorry, my cat's trying to eat my cord. Stop. I wanted to actually see if I could, because it was coming on to daylight soon. It was
Mhm.
already past bar close, so, okay, I'm like, "I'm gonna sit down here, and I'm gonna sun's going to come up and I'm going to see this for sure. And he's got to be sobering up soon. He's got to know and see what this is. And ended up not being able to stay because he ended up freaking out to the point where I thought he was like going to give himself a heart attack. He's like, we got to go. What if it sees us? It's going to know that we're here, and what's going to happen? Okay, fine, just chill out, dude. So we ended up leaving, and I brought him home. And a couple days later, I said, "So, do you remember that night?" And he goes, "I don't know what you're talking about." Like, you were freaking out. Seriously, you don't remember? And he's, "No, I don't. I don't remember what I don't know what you're talking about." So
So either the men in black got to him, or else he was so drunk that he did forget, or else
yeah,
he's just in total denial.
which could have been any one of those three.
Yes.
Although I'll probably go with the so drunk.
Oh, what a shame that you don't have the corroboration that.
Yeah, and of course, this was, way back before we had the cell phones where you could take
Yeah.
pictures or do anything of that sort. I don't
Yep.
even think I had the flip phone at that point. Yeah, and that's one of the things too. I mean, up until that point, I was going, why would I even see a UFO on Lake, and this is Lake Michigan. Why would I see a UFO on Lake Michigan? That just seems so odd to me. And then as I started doing more and more digging and stuff, I found, yeah, more and more stories coming out where people were seeing UFOs coming out of not just, I mean, well, especially lakes here. I've been hearing more, not on this side
Mhm.
of Lake Michigan, more on the Michigan side of Lake Michigan,
Okay.
but between the lakes and the oceans and yeah, I mean, even smaller bodies of lakes too.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff going on, and who knows, but that's a subject, don't want to say the dreaded D word.
Yeah,
But
true.
UFOs or UAPs is safe, so
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, since they've given us the disclosure on that now, so it's all good.
yes, yes. But no, that's interesting. Was it actually touching and resting on the water? Do you know or do you
It
recall?
it looked like it was actually, like, sitting on the water. It didn't which was weird because you would think that you could actually see it shifting and moving
Yeah,
with the waves. I mean, because Lake Michigan it gets pretty choppy,
yeah.
but it didn't. It just kinda hovered there and sat there, but it was pretty low into the lake, with compared to how large the ship was when it was going over.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, it was a pretty good distance out, but it didn't look like it was really moving around a whole lot compared to the way the water was, and the waves were moving.
Yeah.
But the lights were definitely, I mean, there was activity going on with it, and I know it wasn't just a figment of my imagination with, maybe a ship on the water or anything like that,
Yeah. Right.
because it was obvious. You could see the dark silhouette of the actual UFO
Okay.
or floating object now, but and the lights had a almost a pinkish, like a pinkish kind of pastel hue, kind of glow to them, where it kind of shimmered around it. Um, they weren't like bright lights or white lights or blue lights. It was almost like an iridescent, pearlescent, opalescent kind of color
Oh,
to it, kind of like the different colors like an opal would have.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
kind of what the lights were
And
around the.
were the lights stationary on it, or were they? Because I've heard stories of them, of the lights spinning around
And
on.
well, and that's I couldn't say for sure that they weren't spinning around,
Mhm.
but they were definitely, I mean, the lights seemed to almost kind of move in a, you know how you have even like the trick of the eyes when you look at like Christmas lights and they look like they're running.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it looked like, but you could definitely see a difference in like window slots. It looked like there were actually windows or little square windows all the way around it. Whether they were windows or what, at
Right.
the distance I couldn't tell, but there were definitely a definitive section for each group of lights.
Yeah. Huh. That's fascinating. Now, was it still sitting on the water whenever you left?
Yeah, yeah. I tried to pull away very slowly in hopes that maybe he would change his mind and quit whining like a baby. But yeah, it didn't happen. And yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was still sitting there. It was probably about an hour, hour and a half we sat there waiting. So close to it getting daylight.
Wow. That's fascinating. What a
Mm.
what an experience. Now, did you report that to MUFON or any other?
No, I had no idea where I tried. I did report it to a couple different places, and
Mhm.
I think they never stuck for some reason. There was a couple different reporting agencies that I did send my report into and my experience.
Mhm.
And they said, okay, thank you. And I don't think it was ever MUFON that I sent it into, but they're like,
Mm.
okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and review this. And I know that I had, before I actually submitted my report, I had read through quite a few other reports that people had submitted to
Mhm.
the different groups. But again, I mean, I did this online and it was pretty early on with the internet still.
Yeah.
Um, but I did discover through going to report that information and that experience, um, a lot of activity in, again, the Elkhorn area with UFOs and stuff too, which
Mhm.
I'm surprised thinking back that I hadn't learned about Bray Road sooner and I knew more about the aliens and UFOs that people were experiencing out in the area before I even heard about Bray Road. So,
Wow. 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 Now, yeah, a friend of mine is the Pennsylvania state director for MUFON. Um, and I can hear him now saying, report it to MUFON, get on the MUFON website,
yeah,
report it.
even now after all these years.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because the old reports, they still are important because they can match up. There perhaps were other witnesses that you weren't aware of,
Mm,
and or else there may have been other sightings around the same time period. So
yeah.
yeah, it's still important to report the old sightings, just like
Mhm.
Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Even though it may be an old report, it still is important.
Yeah. I'll have to do that.
Yeah. Wow. So, did anything odd happen afterwards, or did you experience or see any other UFOs or anything afterwards?
No, actually, um, so I always say I don't know if it's just me or what, but I seem to have like these once in a while very strange things that I wonder if, it was a fluke. Maybe I was in the wrong place at the wrong time and it just happened. And I don't know. It kind of weird things like that, but I never had anything else strange like that happen to me with as far as UFOs.
Hmm.
Although I did have to kind of laugh when I was in college. So this was okay. I'm not going to date how far back that was, but so one of my final classes that I had, we were finishing up for the semester. We had just turned in all of our term papers, And one of the kids in the class, you always get the once in a while you'd have this one person in the class that is there on mom and dad's money and doesn't really care, and
Yep.
so the whole time he kept talking about aliens, 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 aliens.
Hmm.
And I could hear him because, of course, nobody else was really doing anything. They were there to turn in their papers and just kind of say, have a good summer and stuff. And I was like, hey, what were you saying about aliens? He goes, oh, I was just asking people about, their alien encounters, if they ever had anything. And I said, oh, well, I got something for you. So I told him about my UFO experience. And he's really into it. He's like, wow, that's amazing. And he's like, that's cool. Thanks for telling me. And he walks out, and my instructor goes, were you serious? Yeah, I'm serious. He's like, but were you serious? I said, yeah, I'm serious. He goes, you really saw a UFO? I said, well, I wasn't pulling his leg. Yeah, I really saw a UFO. And he kind of looks at me like, I never took you as the type. I'm like, I don't know if I should feel offended at this, or like, wow.
Feel
Like,
sorry for him. That's all
yeah,
you do. Feel sorry for him.
yeah. I guess you just never know. Yeah.
Yes, we are out there.
Yeah, well, until that moment comes when he realizes that there are strange things out there. Yeah,
Yep,
but
that's right. So, yeah, tell us more about your other experiences or what else is going on.
so
Oh, yeah, and everybody, if you have a question for Jess, please type it in capital letters in the comment section. Okay, sorry, Jess.
it's okay. Um, so let's see. Some of the other thing. Well, I have um some of the things that I had growing up, which had me in the paranormal, spiritual side. Um, that really kind of sucked me into that in the beginning. Um, I had experiences growing up in the house that we moved into when I was about 5. And there were some strange things that had happened in that house that I could never really explain. And as I've gotten older, I kind of been able to figure out maybe what these things were, what had happened. Um, there was an incident where one night, and I was still pretty young, where I had gotten up in the middle of the night, woke up, and had this strange feeling like something was staring at me. And I'm kind of looking around my room, and it's dark, and I'm young, and there's this the way my room was set up, there was a little table that because I was young, I had a little table with a little chair that I would, do my drawings and stuff at.
Mhm.
And I see what I thought was, just like my stuffed animals and dolls and stuff all over the room. And I'm looking and I'm going, well, that's not a doll. And I'm looking at this shadow sitting on this chair next to me, like across from my bed. And the thing actually moved and turned and looked at me, and it had the creepiest look. It had these long, like gangly ears, long pointy ears. The limbs were just long and gangly, but other than the fact that the body itself wasn't as creepy as the face, when it actually turned and looked at me. It
Ugh.
had these red glowing eyes, and it smiled.
Oh my.
And the worst part about that was it had like these jaggedy teeth that like intertwined in between them, as and the smile just went, you know, where they call it the Glasgow smile, where, it just goes from ear to ear. That's
Yeah.
kind of what it was.
Oh, wow.
And uh, that terrified me.
No wonder.
Um, and I remember freaking out and just closing my eyes and praying and saying, Jesus, make it go away. Jesus, make it go away. Jesus, make it go away. And when I opened my eyes again, it was gone. And now as a kid, sitting with my feet tucked under me on the bed, I'm like, I'm not I'm not about to try and run out of this room because I don't know where this thing is and if it's really gone. So I'm screaming for my mom, and my mom comes in and she flips the light on and she's like, what's going on? I'm like, is there anything, do you see anything? No, there's nothing under your bed. No. Just go to bed. It's your imagination. And I probably would have, again, one of those one-off things, but there were other strange little things that would occur throughout my life in this house that just
Mm.
made me realize that there was something more going on in this house. There was another incident where I was, again, and I had, by this point, it was a few years later, I want to say, and rearranged my room. And by this point, I had a water bed in my room, and I had a cat at that point. And I woke up in the middle of the night because I could hear my cat was doing one of her little cat crazy things where she's playing in the bed or playing, on the floor next to the bed, and paper bag. I had kept one of those paper grocery bags in the room because she just loved playing with those. And she
Mm.
woke me up in the middle of the night. I could hear her like rolling the ball into the paper bag and pouncing on it.
Jeez.
And as as she's, getting riled up, and I'm going, okay, it's just the cat, go back to sleep. She kept getting more and more loud. And um I finally couldn't do this anymore. I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to go to sleep with her. So I kind of, scolded her, and I'm like, Tigger, stop. And you know how if you spook a cat or whatever, they kind of like stop. And I was
Yeah.
just imagining like she sprawled out like, oh my gosh, and scurried around the side of the bed and all the way around. And I had wood floors, so she ran around to the bed, other side, and went to like duck underneath the back of the headboard of my waterbed, and like slid so fast that I could hear it go thunk against the headboard and the wall where
Oh,
she's sliding through. And I'm like, stupid cat. So I go to roll over and kind of get comfortable again and pull my sheets up and pull my comforter up, and my comforter has a huge weight on the end of it. And I'm going, no, 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 no. And I kind of looked up, and my cat was sleeping at the foot of my bed right on the end of my sheets the entire time, which is why I couldn't pull my comforter up. So that was not my cat that was making all of that racket and ran around the
oh,
bed.
oh, geez.
And we didn't have any other large animals in the house. And this was definitely not like we didn't have any mice or anything like that because,
Oh, wow. Oh,
um,
my. Yeah, we have a question here from Street Poet. Do you believe aliens are an unusual phenomena or just a natural occurrence in the universe's evolutionary progress? I say that because the further one travels out into outer space, the less we exist.
hmm, that's,
Do you believe aliens are unusual phenomena or just a natural occurrence? Interesting. Interesting question.
I think they are a part of the, hmm, how would I explain? I think aliens, much like the spirits, and I think they're all, I think they're angelic beings.
Okay.
I don't think that they're necessarily the good angelic beings,
Okay.
um, but I don't think that they're here for. They're not here for good reasons.
I can agree
I
with you.
Yeah, I don't think they are here for. Yes.
I agree. All right. And Levon asks, how old were you when you accepted that paranormal is all around you?
I don't know if I could honestly say that I knew at a certain age. I grew up in a Christian household, and um, everything that was, I mean, the way my grandmother kind of always even talked to me about God and angels, and it was all spiritual. Angels, she always used to tell me, I have a guardian angel,
Mhm.
and, we don't see them, but it's no different than, spirits of our loved ones passing, and, so I don't think it was ever a point of accepting the paranormal. It was just kind of something that was there that I was aware of. Um, Accepting that not everything that's paranormal was going to harm me.
Mhm.
I think that would probably be a different thing, because I think that that was probably something that I had to kind of learn. I used to have so many nightmares as a kid growing up. Horrible, horrible nightmares,
Oh my.
reoccurring nightmares. So I think that was something that I had to learn to accept, is that not everything that is maybe spiritual.
Okay. She says, I respect you mentioned awareness by feelings, or I suppose she means,
Because
oh, yeah,
because feelings.
versus, oh, awareness versus feelings.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes, she corrected it.
Oh.
Thanks, Levon. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's, I think everyone kind of comes to that awareness at different points in their lives, and it could be incremental also.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean even as a little kid, I was one of those weird family kid things where all of my cousins were either way older than me
Mhm.
or way younger than me, and then there was me. So I was kind of like, either I'm sitting at the kids table for, Thanksgiving dinner, or I'm sitting with the adult table, and there was no in between. Um, so for me, it was kind of like I always seemed to feel like I was doing things on my own, and um, I want to say I didn't have a whole lot of friends growing up, but it was especially difficult when um, weird things would happen, and people would be like, "Oh, that you're crazy. What are you talking about? What do you mean you saw something? What do you mean you heard something? There's nothing over there, What are you seeing?" And I just kind of learned to keep my mouth shut when it comes to things like that. But
Yeah.
there would be a lot of times where I would even just get like strange feelings, or I say premonitions, not premonitions, but um, I guess if anybody that would have these experiences would know, but you walk into a room and you just get that sick feeling like, shouldn't be here, or you
Mhm.
might see two people sitting at a table in a restaurant, and you go, mm, yeah, something just doesn't feel right. I think I'm gonna go to the restaurant down the street
Yeah.
instead, and then something happens.
Yeah.
Or the not paying attention, and you drive down the wrong street or make a wrong turn, and then all of a sudden find out that there was an accident,
Mm.
and that's a lot of the things that would happen to me growing up too.
Yeah.
And so there's
Yeah. Some of that could come under intuition or instincts or just awareness, and it also could be premonition, also just a mixture of all. Uh, yeah, that's good, interesting.
mm-hmm, yeah. And I say too, one of the biggest things that, um, I mean, I had a life-changing event that, good or bad, I don't know what you would necessarily consider it, but um, so not last year, the year before, in the summer, right around the time that I was doing more kind of digging into the cryptid portion of things,
Hmm.
and came across different channels and was really kind of getting into things, and decided that now was the time, and I was going to take an opportunity and go to this paranormal conference. And it
Yeah.
was the first time that I was going to be traveling on my own without, my kid, or, any significant. This was me. This was all for me, doing what I wanted to do, and I had money saved. So I went and I took a trip, and I met some really great people. I met Ginny, which I don't know if she's still in the chat. She's probably in bed now, but I met Ginny at the conference, and I made some really great friends, and I've made some really great friends since then. And I mean, and the only reason why I say what was really strange about it is that if you would have said to me a month prior to, you're going to go to this conference and you're going to have a blast, and it's going to change your life, I would have been like, whatever. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not going on any conference. And when I heard that this conference was coming up, there was just, I was tossing around the idea. Do I go? Do I not go? I don't know. And there was this little voice again in my head going, you really need to go to this. You need to go
Yeah.
to this conference. This is important. So I said, okay, I'm doing it. And it was like just that moment. Bought the ticket, booked the hotel, did it all right there. Like, let's go. Let's do it.
Awesome.
Can't go back now. And yeah, it's been a life changer for me.
That's
So,
great. Now, you've met a few people from Michigan also?
yep. So the Michigan conference, that was the one in May that I did just this last year in 2024.
Okay. Yeah, Jen
Um,
says she's still here.
yeah. So the one in 2024 that I did in Upper Michigan, that was with the Wisconsin Caps team. They were actually running that one.
Okay.
And I'd have to go back and look again, but it was a property where the gentleman, it's actually quite interesting, um, the Hayden Project. And that's now that I remember it, because they call it the Hayden Project because they always be hiding.
Oh, okay. All
But I
right.
guess the couple actually ended up buying the property up in Upper Michigan because he wanted some place to do hunting and have somewhere that he could hunt and do
Mhm.
his thing and shoot. And upon getting out there, that's when strange things started happening. And so what ended up like spurring him to start doing these investigations was, I guess he had posted one time, and I'd have to go back and really look, but it was kind of interesting. he was doing a Bigfoot convention, and I guess somebody had like um contacted him and said, "Oh, when's your Bigfoot convention?" He goes, "I don't know. When can you get here?" And they ended up striking up their own friendship, and he has unfortunately passed away, but they have been trying to just build the awareness and bringing people back out there and doing research and stuff. And so that was a really great time that I had up there with the Wisconsin Caps team. Um, I'm hoping that they might actually do it again this year. Maybe I'll be able to get back out there. But
Awesome. Yeah, I know a few people from Michigan. I think they had invited me to come a couple years ago to one of their conferences. And Gabe Heiss, he's I've met him a few times. He's a great guy.
okay.
Great, yeah, Gabe. And then Robert Daigle. I can't remember who else, but
Yeah, his he sounds familiar too. I'm still getting used to a lot of the big, and I didn't realize, even the Bigfoot community compared to, the paranormal community, and I
yeah,
know that a lot of them are
yeah,
starting to blend, but
yeah, they are. Yeah, I agree. I think they are because people are finding that a lot of the tools that we use, that like ghost hunters, tools that they use are also good on Bigfoot research,
mhm,
as well as who knows about the UFO. I don't know what they use, but even so, the observation skills and the documentation skills, of course, and so on. You still have the same type of things that you'll be using, uh,
mhm,
as well as any type of recordings that you do.
mhm,
Um, a lot of I used to do a lot of audio work, and I learned a lot from watching ghost hunters. Strangely enough, but
yeah,
but I was able to utilize that, in my audio work. I would did a lot of reviewing and so on, but um, no, it's yeah, it's fantastic that you cross over to many different fields. It's not just one,
mhm, yeah,
and I think that gives you a pretty good perspective on what your research is, and whenever you narrow in on certain aspects.
mhm, yeah. See, and I guess another good thing with, or bad thing, I guess, I don't know, depends on the way you look at it, um, because I can't stay focused on one thing for very long, and I usually end up going down, like, these rabbit holes of information, and so, and I think that's probably one of the things that, kinda took me on that path into the cryptids and such
Yeah,
too, is, yeah, yeah,
yeah, it
um
happens. Yeah,
and that yeah, that's the thing, especially, I mean, again, with especially with my ADHD, is it's so easy to go, start reading a report or information or an experience or an encounter that somebody had and go, wait, I remember hearing a story about that. Sounds just like a paranormal experience that I had read,
hmm,
or remember hearing about years ago, and of course I have so many books and notes and stuff that I keep everything in. When I um one of my friends that I met at the last conference, she was laughing at me because I was writing everything down, and she's like, "What are you writing down?" I'm like, "I don't want to forget this. I'm gonna forget it if I don't write it down. I gotta write it down." So I had notebooks and
good, good. It's
information.
important.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you go to some place where you're just bombarded with information and you're overwhelmed. It's like if you don't write it down, there's no way I'm going to remember everything.
No,
But to go back and go, I knew I read that, or I saw that, or I remember seeing that somewhere. And, um, there is a correlation, there is a link, there is
Mhm.
information here on, why things are happening. And, you know, with like the EMF readings that people are getting with these cryptids compared to, how people have been getting these with the paranormal for so many years.
Mhm.
Um, when I was out on Bray Road with Lee, the owner, he was saying, when you get these high EMF readings, um, and that was one of the things that he was he was getting all excited. He's like, quick, grab your camera and take photos of the sky. And I'm like, the sky? Like, what? What? He's like, we got some high EMF readings. Take photos of the sky. So I'm like clicking photos. He's like, did you get anything? And I'm like, the sky. What was I supposed to get? He's like, no, I gotta show you. So when we got back, he's showing me that um, prior to when they would get these high EMF readings, and I'm talking like in the 1400 count,
Oh,
where, anything over 5 is supposed to be unsafe. And,
yeah.
and now he's getting like 1400. Um, I mean,
Oh, my.
if he wasn't recording it when he showed me the videos of the meter actually going up, I probably wouldn't have believed him. But yeah, he had it from 1400 to 1600, and all of a sudden he would say, "Now here's the meter reading, and now look at the pictures of the sky that we got," and you would see what looks like a UFO for a split second. You would get like, if somebody was taking like 3 quick shots of the sky.
Mhm.
Maybe the first one and the last one wouldn't have anything, but the second one would have like the edging you could see of like a UFO
Wow.
so quickly passing through or something.
Oh, my.
And there were several of those that he had shown me. He's like, "So if you get EMF readings, make sure you take pictures of the sky." I'm like, "Noted. Got it. Do this."
I'll try to remember that. I haven't picked up a EMF meter yet, but I plan on. I don't know. So if you have any recommendations, send it to me.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I just picked up one, and I guess the only thing that I would suggest if you're gonna pick up an EMF reader would be something that is more than just, high, low, like how some of them have, like, the yellow to the green to the red, and
Yeah.
kinda just tells you if it's high or low. I would probably get something that actually has the actual digital count that you can actually record or will actually set, so you can actually see what it's at. That would be my only suggestion.
Like you were saying, he was getting readings of 1400. Uh,
Mhm.
okay. Yeah. Rather than just colors, color meter going.
Right. And a lot of times people might not even realize, if they're and I know even like I think in the original Ghost Hunters TV series too, I think they would have the EMF reader that would just kind of bloop
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
and didn't really give a number or anything. So you didn't really get an idea of what kind of readings people were actually getting, just whether
Mhm.
or not it was hitting.
Yeah.
Um, but again, the more data, the better. So if
Yes.
anybody that's doing research and has an EMF reader, that would probably be the best bet is to make sure you're getting something that actually you can get something recorded with actual definitive data rather than just yes or no.
Right. Okay. William asked, Jess, can you differentiate active hauntings versus residual hauntings based on EMF levels? I've heard that you can, but I don't know.
I don't know. Um, the only type of haunting activity that I've experienced has been like active, or they haven't been residual that I've experienced.
Mhm.
Um, I still would love to be able to. One of my places that I want to get out to is Gettysburg because I know that they've had so many residual hauntings out there. And I think it would just be really, really great to be able to try and capture some of that and do. recordings
Yeah.
and do some investigations, and for that exact reason, because you know that it's an active residual type area
Yeah.
of hauntings.
Well, you
Um,
got to come to our camp out in April. Where we're camping is maybe an hour from Gettysburg. You're really
oh,
not that far. So yeah, and
I was
it's some yeah, Jerry. Gettysburg is awesome. I've been there. I don't know how many times, and I'm just fascinated by the history there, and just the overall feeling that the entire give you.
I was in Gettysburg once for a work training,
Hmm.
and they had us staying at the I think it was the Lincoln House Hotel right in the circle. Um, the hotel, it gave me a weird feeling, but I didn't have anything that I could tell happened there. But
Hmm.
I know that when I was walking around just that area and the down that center area, you definitely can feel the history. I mean,
Yeah,
it's it really is something that I mean that I could really again, but I'm one of those. I don't know how I say it, I'm one of those weird people. Like I go to a old town where they have the brick roads and the old houses, and I can actually look and almost step back and go, I wonder what it felt like back in the day, back in the 1800s, back in the 1600s, what did this feel like? And go, I bet that's what it felt like. I could see it. I could hear it. I can hear the horses. I can hear, and maybe it's my imagination. As my mom always says, I have an active imagination. I don't know. But um, unfortunately, when I was in Gettysburg, I didn't get the opportunity to really do a whole lot of touristy stuff and do anything. And I always said, one of these days I'm going to get back there. But unfortunately, again, so this job I just started, I would love to. I would just be so there already planning my trip. Um, but the job I'm working at now, the girl that I'm training currently to cover,
hmm,
she goes on maternity leave in April and she is gone all summer and doesn't come back until the end of August. I'm like, my
well,
summer is blown.
well, you never know. If if things work out pretty well there, we'll return. So, but I'll
Well,
announce it for sure.
count me in for that next time because
Yeah, and it would probably be sometime in the fall, uh,
okay.
most likely. Yeah, because I like to do a lot of things in the fall too, up into November even. You know,
Yeah.
get out there
Fall,
and go camping.
fall is my favorite time of year. So,
Yes.
yeah.
William also, okay, he states they have lots of residual hauntings in New Orleans also, or Nolans.
That's another place I would love to be able to get down to and visit. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there, and yeah, it's that's one place that it gives you that feeling,
Mhm.
that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah, Battle of New Orleans. Oh, wow, yeah, I'll bet. Whew. Okay, yeah, Jerry says lots of stories seeing stuff in the battlefields at Gettysburg at night. Yeah, I've heard quite a few stories about that.
And what's kind of um, interesting is when you get to those videos, and I don't trust a whole lot of videos and such that I see nowadays,
Yeah,
but I mean, when you get to the earlier internet period times of videos and stuff, um, some of the photos and videos and things that would come in from, people online that
right.
you see, you can't dispute some of them, and you go, wow, that's really interesting. And it's hard to find a lot of those now. Like people have pulled them off because either they've been shunned for sharing those, or
Oh,
and that's what's really sad is trying to find a lot of the authentic things that people put out there, because then of course then you have the people that put out the fake stuff, and
yeah.
you never know. But
Yeah, Walter says he has a distinct feeling that he died on the battleground at Gettysburg, Pickett's charge. He's been there 3 times, and he thinks that 2 of his birthmarks were from his wounds. Oh, wow. Yeah, Walter, if you ever find out anything or get a name or anything, I'd be interested in hearing about it. So please follow up.
yeah, I've heard similar things like that with the birthmarks and such,
Yeah.
um having being aligned with things. I know my daughter kind of reminded me of that when she was when she was born. She had this strange mark on her back,
Hmm.
and I thought maybe something had happened during the birth, and they said no, she was actually born with it, and they said it's just a birthmark. And it, it doesn't look like a typical birthmark. It almost like a blotch in the skin, but it's right between her shoulder blades. And she hates wearing bathing suits because of it too. 'Cause she's like, it just makes me feel uncomfortable. But when she was a baby, um, my her father had brought her into work with him the one day, and he to go do something. He was working at a restaurant, and he came back. He comes back home, and he goes, the strangest thing happened to me today. I said, what? He said, well, this woman actually approached me in the hallway at work, and asked me about our daughter. And I said, well, what did she say? And he said, well, she said, don't worry about the mark on her back. It was from a previous life.
Oh,
And she's here to help. She's here to help you heal.
well,
Yeah. Okay. All right. And I've never told my daughter that story, so when she doesn't watch any of this stuff, so I don't have to worry about anymore any her even knowing about it, because she doesn't like anything to do with this, probably because of all the weird things that happened when she was a kid. But I always thought that was just so odd, because that was not up his alley either. When it came to the weird stuff in the house,
right.
he would gaslight me all day and tell me it was my imagination,
Um,
and um, didn't believe any of it. But yeah, for him to actually say something like that, it was significant enough.
yeah.
N-
Wow.
And nobody would have even known, because it was winter. So, she's like all bundled up in her little cozy, and like, who would have even seen that? How did she know that there was a mark on her back? It was
Wow.
just, so I believe it.
Yeah, Tracy, I must have been on the Titanic. I hate large bodies of water and I don't like being in the ocean. Who knows? If not the Titanic, then something else. Who knows?
Mm.
This you know, past life things, I'm up in the air about that. I reserve judgment on it, but who knows? Who knows what went on previously?
Yeah, you're taught so many things, and you're led to believe so many things growing
Mhm.
up, that when you have it, you hear different experiences and stories and things that can't be disputed. Sometimes you almost go, okay, what don't I know?
Yeah.
Where's the disconnect? And
Mhm.
what makes, this different than, what makes my belief in my religion different from anybody else's, and knowing, and yeah, so many questions. And I I I keep an open mind for the most part,
Yeah,
and it's hard.
it really is. Yeah, Tracy, she says, I am up in the air about that because of my Christian beliefs. I
Mhm.
agree, Tracy. That's the same with me. Um, because of my Christian beliefs, it goes contrary
Yeah.
to what we've been taught, and so it's okay. It's whatever it is, and it'll be explained at some point in time.
There you go. Yep. Yes. If it's meant for us to know now, we'd know, and if not, then
Yeah,
I guess.
we'll find out. She says, I wonder if a ghost is a person in purgatory.
I've often wondered that exact thing myself too.
Yeah,
Is Could that possibly be?
yeah. I try to stay. Um, I used to be interested in ghosts for a long, long time, and I was a faithful watcher of the TV shows, and especially Ghost Hunters. And until some crazy things happened in my house while I was watching a marathon of Ghost Hunters. And whenever that crazy thing happened, um, I shut it off and I have not turned on the TV shows again. I concentrate on Bigfoot and other cryptids. I stay
Mhm.
away from, I don't ghost hunt. I don't do anything like that. I
I
stay.
used to I used to be a big fan of the TV show A Haunting.
Okay.
And so I think that's what they did, like a haunting in Connecticut and a haunting in, I think they did like a couple different movies.
Yeah.
And they did that off those series, but I used to really enjoy that show. Um, because it was almost more like you would get the facts,
Hmm.
and it wasn't necessarily just them searching for paranormal and stuff the entire time. And you kind of get histories of like what was it? The Summer Wind, I think, is the mansion that was here in Wisconsin that actually burned down, the Summer Wind mansion.
Oh,
And that was another fascinating story for me that I always thought was interesting, because I was like, oh, when I get old enough, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to find this place. And then I find out it burned down. I'm like, dang, so much for that. Because it seemed like it was another one of those areas of high strangeness. Just
hmm.
and it wasn't just spirits or ghosts too. It was like there were other weird things that were going on. But yeah, summer wind. Hmm.
Okay.
And yeah, I think that was one of the things. No spirit board. Yeah, definitely no spirit boards.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
did mess with one of those once, and I will never do that again. So,
Yep. Yeah. Definitely. No. That only invites in demons, and no, you don't. Just stay away from that.
hmm, yeah.
But okay, I guess going back to cryptid side. Have you experienced any other cryptids or seen any evidence or received any reports?
No, honestly, I've been trying to kind of put feelers out, and um, you know, with my Facebook page and
Mhm.
YouTube, and I've been slowly gathering more and more subscribers with my YouTube page,
Yeah.
going out and doing the investigations. And I think, especially in the area that I'm in, I mean, I know that there's a lot of people in the state itself that have had experiences. I hear about them on all these different, cryptid shows. I hear them on, Wes Sasquatch Chronicles, or Vic Cundiff's the Dogman Radio, and so I
Yep.
know people are having these experiences.
Hmm.
Excuse me, but yeah, I haven't really received a whole lot of stories or hits or anything from people in the area that I'm willing to go out and do an investigation and see, if people have had strange things in the area, or even if it's not in Wisconsin, if I can get out, to another area and do some investigating,
Hmm.
I'll make a plan of it. I'll make a trip of it. Definitely. I'm all for it. The opportunity comes out. Yeah, I would like to be able to get out and investigate all different areas. I
Yeah.
hope I hope to one day actually get overseas and do some investigating over in Europe and stuff too. I think that would be a great opportunity. There's so much history over there too, with things and stories and encounters, and one
Yep.
day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, same here. I've got a lot of friends over there, and uh, friends in Scandinavia who've invited me over, and there's quite a few Bigfoot reports there also. Only uh, back during the old days, they were also known as trolls. So whenever you read the stories, the old fairy tales mentioning trolls, that was the Bigfoot.
Okay. Yeah, well, I guess because yeah, you would think the trolls were like larger, giant kind of things,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah, same things, different names. Yeah, it depends on where you are.
that's right. Yeah, different regions, different names.
Hmm.
Now, have you studied any of your local native stories about the Bigfoot?
Um, no, I haven't, because a lot of the information that I am privy to is not. It's to say the least, it's white man's story. So, I don't have a whole lot to really go on, other than doing the historical research with the library and kind of doing
Hmm.
land research and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So, and I've been trying to do more of that and digging in. I've been going down to, when I can, going down to UW to try and dig into the archives there and stuff and see what I can find historically in history.
yeah.
But the area that I live in here was predominantly um, run or taken over by the French.
Okay. The
So,
trappers and so on.
hmm,
The trappers.
yeah, yeah, and I mean they pushed out a lot of the natives through that when they came over and took over. But I know I know it has to be pretty easy. It's Wisconsin. I mean, we still have all of the main names that
Yeah,
um, Milwaukee and McWanago, and I mean it's all we all have the original names for everything here,
yeah,
based on the natives. So,
yeah. It might be a path worth digging into. Getting the more ancient reports and stories from the natives. See what they said. About
mhm,
the Bigfoot, because as far as I've heard, just about every single native tribe has a um, Bigfoot type creature, in their
mhm,
mythology,
mhm,
that stories that they tell.
yeah, yeah, and I mean the land here itself, a lot of it. I mean, even when I was talking with Lee over in Bray Road,
Hmm.
he he again is more interested in doing the data and the research on the the history going back to the natives in the area too. He
Hmm.
thinks that there's a deep connection, and I agree. I think a lot of it is a deep connection to the native people that lived here
Yeah.
before we took over.
Yep. Yeah. Maybe follow up with him, and if he has a little bit more information, you see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, wherever you can get a lead, and I agree. You spoke about the rabbit holes, and I agree. It's you follow one path, and that one little path leads into 1,000 other paths.
Yes.
And yeah,
It's
it's crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, you can get into so many other different things and different leads, and um, but you just choose your path that you want to stay on and try to stick with at least something in the
Yeah.
main in one path.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of why when I do even like my night investigations, um, I usually don't have a whole lot of. It's kind of funny because people go, okay, well, what are you doing? What are you investigating? Well, I'm just investigating. I'm out to see what I can see and what I can find, and I'm doing the data. So I've got the temperature, I've got the moon phase, I've got the times that I'm going out, and where the locations that I'm keeping track of, the specific locations that I'm going to, and what I'm finding. And it's almost like when I'm doing my night investigations, um, whoever wants to join me and come along and see if I fall on my face this time, or if something, something strange happens, or if I capture something in the woods, if they want to join me on my little trip, then, go ahead and join me. But it's something that I'm probably going to keep doing, and yeah, see what happens and see what I can find. And I'm just, if I take off, I take off. If not, it's all good. I'm doing it for the fun, and
Yeah,
let's see what happens. So,
no, that's
but
wonderful.
in the meantime, yeah, when I can get an opportunity to go out and join another group and do an investigation, or heck, even just do a camp out just 'cause, then I'm all good. Let's go.
Good.
Yeah.
Now, you have a Facebook group, or is it a Facebook page?
I have a Facebook page and a Facebook group. So my Facebook page is Arcane Paranormal World, and then I have a private group, Arcane Paranormal World, and in the group is where I usually share like the different events and stuff that I'm going to, but then
Mhm.
people can actually share and post in that group things that they are doing as well. So if they are an active researcher or a YouTuber, or they have an event that's coming up, they can go ahead and post in that group as well for anybody that is also part of that group. They can see it and join and share. And that's open for, when you join, it's open. I don't, tell anybody they can't post or can't share or can't,
Mhm.
it's because information needs to get out there. And I think the best thing that we can do is, as a collective, join together and support each other.
I agree. Yes, absolutely.
Hmm.
And if anyone wants to join her group on Facebook, I have the link in the description. And I also have a link to her YouTube channel in the description. So please join and subscribe to her channel. Um, I know Lavon says she'd love to do a camp out or hike with you. Two gals that can see spirits.
There we go. That
That's
that would be interesting. Yeah.
you got to get out here, Jess. Yeah, maybe on one of our me show trips. Uh, yeah, we can. You can come on out, and we'll get over to Gettysburg, and
That would be so great. That would
Yeah,
be so great.
yeah, that way you can actually tour Gettysburg for once
Yeah.
being there on business.
Yeah.
Makes a difference.
Yeah. It's no
Um,
fun to take you someplace like that and then say, yeah, you don't have time to do anything and enjoy the area.
I know, it's crazy. Was there anything else you wanted to share with us that we may have skipped over or missed?
Um, no, not really. I will say that, unfortunately, because of the cold weather, I won't be doing my night investigation this Friday, but I will be having a guest on my show. So, but everybody, if they, tune in, make sure they keep following and tuning in because I will be getting back out there as soon as it thaws a little bit here.
Yeah. And what time is your show?
Um, the show this Friday, I think I have it for 7 o'clock,
And
or maybe,
that's Central
y-
Time?
yes, or maybe it's 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock Central Time. And
Okay.
then, but typically when I go out and do my night investigations, I'm usually going out 9 o'clock Central Time so that I can try and hit after everybody's left the area and I know it's
Yeah.
pretty clear. So,
Yep. That would be cool to watch you on a live investigation. I never
yeah.
have much luck with those because I never get a signal.
Oh, well, I will tell you if anybody wants a good laugh, if you go back to one of my the snow investigation I did, my daughter did everybody a favor, and of course I said she doesn't watch, but she had to check out this one. I actually fell on my face, and Mike from Abnormal never lets me live it down either. Um, but she actually time stamped it, so everybody could go in there and make fun of me.
Yeah, Mark
But
from Cryptid Search Investigations says he tries to do a Wisconsin expedition at least once a year.
okay.
Very cool. Very cool. I've yet to get into Wisconsin. I've been to Michigan, but I've yet to get into Wisconsin. So, and it has been on my bucket list. In fact, every state is. But
Hmm.
I've
Yeah,
heard quite a bit about it. And I would try to go during a season whenever the black flies are not there.
that would be the best. Yeah.
I, yeah, I definitely don't enjoy getting bit by those things. No piranhas. So that's cool. I wanted to thank you, Jess, for joining us tonight and telling us about your research and your experiences. And
Mhm.
please, if something else comes up, if something else happens, give me a call and we'll bring you on, or else, whenever you're in the chat on another podcast, let me know and I'll throw out the link and say, get on here, tell us about it.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah.
All right.
No, I,
And thank
I
you.
thank you for having me. I thank you for having me on. I had a really great time.
Oh, good. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. And all right. So I think that we will end it here this evening. And because I'm tired, didn't get much sleep last night. But so
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see everyone next week. And thank you all for joining us. And yeah, good night.
Good night,
And
everyone.
good night. And God bless everyone. Monkey Wench out.